back, and we back. Zeus P, Tank Jew. Let the light in, man. It's the 2-hour lunch break, dog. I'm locked in. So turn your speakers up a notch and grab the white gin. And when I'm on the road to the office or the crib, it's Big Zeus, Ain't Jew, the ones I wanna hear. This is that 2-hour lunch break live from Lady Bird J. Late. Coming to you live, putting on for the This is that 2-hour lunch break live from Lady Bird J. Late.
And it's coming home to Texas. It's coming home all the way to Austin, Texas, baby.
And we are back with another edition of Season 5 of the 2-Hour Lunch Break Podcast, a podcast from Austin for Austin, shared with you around the world. As you can see, we're in home base, Dawa Studios on the east side of ATX. I am Saint, one half of the 2-Hour Lunch Break Podcast, and I got my co-host,
Try with Zeus.
And we've got a very special guest in the building. Ladies and gentlemen, he is a friend of the show, an alum of the show. Special shout out to the Pre-Roll ATX, Open Mic Night, Smokeout Tour, official South by Southwest showcase. He's based out of Dallas, Texas, currently in town for a recent performance for South by Southwest Diversity Business Mixer. Along with creatives, he holds a BS in computer science at Morgan State University and is a full-time software engineer. We have Mr. Pierce Washington in the building. How you doing, brother?
I'm great. That was a crazy intro. That's probably the wildest intro I've ever gotten.
Hey,
that's
man.
amazing, though. I
Yeah,
appreciate
man.
that.
We was talking off air, man, but you know, we like the FBI, dog.
Hey, y'all got it. Y'all got it. I promise, y'all got it.
So, man, let's go ahead and get right to it, man. Let's
do it.
dig into your background, right?
Okay.
So, first off, welcome back. We done had you for the third time around.
Right.
So, for those of for the fans that have not seen you before and that are not familiar with you,
right,
share a bit about how you first got involved into music and like what sparked your interest.
So funny enough, it's a twofold thing. I say in high school, I was in trouble. You know what I'm saying? I was on the south side of Dallas. I lived there. The school that I went to was a private school on the north side of Dallas.
Oh, wow.
Really nice neighborhood. I took the bus there every day. These were kids that were getting G-Wagons at 16 years old. It was crazy, but I never seen that world. You know what I'm saying? I was going to school in South Dallas on Malcolm X and Metropolitan. People know any Malcolm X, any MLK Boulevard. You know what I'm saying? It was that type of deal. But they fed their kids into these schools. You know what I'm saying? Because the education was better. They taught you things to where you're set up for college. When I went to two colleges. You know what I'm saying? I went to Southern University in Baton Rouge. Then I ended up at Morgan State. But in both places, studying, finishing work, it was never an issue because they were at a certain level there. But I was originally there on a sports scholarship that'll play basketball. I was not the hooper that they thought I was. You know what I'm saying? I was not the hooper that they thought I was. I had a homeboy that went to the same school as me. He was the hooper. All right, and they saw us playing together, and we were in middle school playing high school teams. I was like, oh yeah, they got. Me? No, I was not dedicated like him. He was dedicated. Shout out to him. He played in school and in college and all that. Shout out to him. I was not the hooper they thought I was. So I rode that way for about 2 years. And then after that, we moved more into the arts. So, I was there. I got in trouble a bit. I was in detention quite a bit. And we weren't doing anything in detention. So as schoolwork was coming in, it was like, hey, I'm not gonna do that. I downloaded Magic's Music Maker. Downloaded Magic.
Yeah. Still?
I think I got a patch of it on an old. Exactly. I had Magic's Music Maker because that's all I knew from middle school music. Okay. And I'm just taking like free sounds that I found places and I'm like making beats. And people were like, these are all right. You know what I'm saying? So that was that. And then after that, I downloaded Fruity Loops. I'm like, downloaded Ableton, downloaded Reason. I'm like, let me figure out all of them. I figured out a good amount of them. And, one day, we're just playing around. I had a homeboy. He wanted to start a rap beef with some guys at another school.
Okay.
I said, I got beats. Let's do it.
Yeah.
We did this rap beef. It went back and forth for like 5 days. SoundCloud drops, Twitter drops. Man, second to last song on the beat, because I was sending the other side beats too. I'm just trying to get the beats out. He switched up the beat with another producer and said, I went with him because I just choose, he makes better beats. I took that personally, so I'll never forget. We was in Spanish class. We heard that in Spanish class. Raised our hand to go use the restroom. I was like, look, bro, we out. We in the booth now.
What's up on the,
I wrote something right then, and it became something, and I mean, this is a high school kids, but still, it became something so disrespectful that these were D1 college prospects. They left their practice to come to our school all the way on the other side of town and fight. And
that boy wrote up an ether.
I had names. I had names of little girls, everything. I knew it. I did my research. Man, my football coach came over to me because we were late to practice that day. They had to break up something. Came to me, he was like, all in all, you wrote something that made people feel so riled up that they left a college opportunity to come in here and defend themselves because you exposed. And that put me into like, you know what? Because I was writing poetry in like little classes, and I always was good at that. My teachers told me that, but it was never like, let me perform it. So I was like, I like producing, and now for whatever reason, I like writing. We put those together, and we put together a little EP. And after that, I mean, after the little diss record, that got like 5,000 likes on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
And I was, at the time, it was like, on Twitter?
Right.
This is crazy.
Like, I done made
that,
it, y'all.
It was like, oh, no, we made it. Let's go ahead and put out the album.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I'm saying? We did that, and it did like 75K like in a year. And that was like, damn, okay, like this is cool. So at that moment, that's when I saw the traction and the emotion. It was like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing this for sure.
Gotcha.
That's big. So let's talk about a little bit more about your influence when it comes to your style, your artistry, shoot, even your appearance, right? Where do you generate that from? Where does that come from?
It's a little bit of everywhere, man. I mean, I like to say that when I started really truly respecting hip hop, it was more so in the blog era. And then when you go to the blog era, they're just trying stuff, right? Like they're just doing stuff. But when you rewind and see where they got some of this stuff from, you go back to even early 90s De La Soul. You know what I'm saying? And then you look at wild years, like the blog era, 2015 to 2017 was an insane time. Stuff was coming out. If you didn't drop during that time, you were not achieving GOAT status. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a wild time, great music. And even 2012, like those were great times. But 1996,
What a time.
that was their time. That year, I'm sitting up like, man, the biggest artist, which is like big in pop, they weren't even dropping the best music.
Nah.
It was like, man, you got an amazing, you got everybody from the Wu-Tang dropping. You got an amazing De La Soul album. You got, you know what I'm saying? You got the Soulquarians coming up for like an insane drop at the top of 2000. And it's just like, man, you look at what was happening that year. And me, I'm analyst. I dissect things. You know what I'm saying? It's like I study it. I figure out what makes it great. I repurpose it for myself, and I put my own spin on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was really just being a student for a minute. And I feel like I'm that way with everything. So my biggest inspiration, and people won't hear it, because what I get when I'm out is like, oh, I hear a Kendrick, I hear a Cole, Nice. I appreciate that. I feel like my two biggest influences all time, Music Soul Child and D'Angelo.
I love it.
D'Angelo and Jay Dilla, but this is like their approaches to music, their approach to writing, their approach to all of that. Now, live performance, I didn't really have a standpoint, and it was like, you know, we're just gonna go out there and do our thing. But eventually I saw, like, I went to the tour for Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers.
Okay.
And this man came out and did United in Grief, which is the opening to that album. He did it while doing ventriloquism. No backtracks, acoustic piano in the background. Did it in the middle of an arena. The mannequin did not miss a beat. The puppet didn't miss a beat. He didn't miss a beat. So for him to be doing this, at the same time, he's actually, and if you've heard United in Grief, it's a lot of words, dude. He's going crazy. Yeah. When I saw that, I said, this is a different dedication.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I said, no, I need to adopt. When you hit that stage, who's going to connect with people?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's when I repurposed it. Like, okay, that person needs to be the artist.
Right.
He needs to be obsessed with his craft.
Yeah.
Right.
He needs to go very hard with knowing these words, with giving space for the crowd to react, with all of that. It's down to the fit.
Yeah.
And that's when I said, okay, we're not buying things from stores anymore. We might buy something, crop it, change the collar, do something to where people ask you, where did you get that from?
Yeah.
Whether it's just your pants, whether it's your shirt, whether it's your hat, where'd you get that from?
Right.
And it's like, I freaked this myself. I made it. And it's like, okay, there's a different respect even there. And that's normally at shows. That's where I connect with people.
Yeah.
So, man, it all came from just this culmination of there are decades of evidence of this worked and this really created a wave. Because my goal at the end of the day is to create something new and be like, okay, where did this come from? And be like, well, it's just taking the best parts of what has already worked and just pushing it that way. So yeah, I say that's my biggest inspiration.
Okay. I like that. Put some boundaries, man.
For sure.
I was gonna say, man, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk your album Past Due. Right? So I know you dropped it to critical acclaim. Right? So with that said, man, walk us through the process of creating Past Due, and what was that reception like in real time for you?
So, man, Past Due, I'd say the oldest song on that album was made in like 2020.
Okay.
And being that it didn't come out until 2023, of course the music changed. I mean, I'm a producer. I produced 90% of the album.
Right.
And, you know, I look at things like this, right? I want to give stories and I want to give like some type of commentary on what life is like, what lessons I learned, what I'm going through, this and that.
Yeah.
But I cannot put a bow on it and finish it until I have gotten past that chapter in life, right? So Past Due, I'd say that chapter ended in like 2020.
Okay.
So, and able to put those things in words, and it was a lot, you know. I moved to the East Coast. I moved to the DMV.
Yeah.
You know, all off the cornerstone of one of the songs on that album. It's like, okay, if you're looking at it right then, it's like, this might have been stupid. Why did we do that? But it's like, you don't see that while you're still in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when you finish it, it's like, oh, now I can speak on it because I remember how I was feeling.
Yeah.
Right. I remember the lessons and I remember the outcome. You know what I'm saying? So that process was when it finished in 22. It was like, oh. Because I think I made roughly 250 beats for that album.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because like a lot of people you'll see like they're like, oh yeah. Sometimes I have like a little melody in my head. I drove a lot in the DMV. Whenever I'm driving, whenever I'm shopping at Walmart, Costco, it don't matter.
Yeah.
I have headphones in, I'm tuned in, I'm hearing things, and I'm always writing, and that does not sound safe. driving all over the place, like riding. We have voice activation, okay? But no, I'm sitting there and it's a song in my head because it's a reflection period.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? On a flight, reflection period. That's where I got most of my writing done. And once I realized, like, I'm writing in past tense. This didn't just happen last week.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Once I got there, it was like, okay. Made a bunch of these soul beats. It was supposed to be a neo soul album. It was supposed to be very R&B. I got home. I decided to move home in 2022. Move back. Get with the craziest drummer I've ever met in personality and creation. In Michael Ferguson.
Shout out.
Meet up with him. Shout out Michael Ferguson. You know, and shout out Spike Chester / Billy White. I saw him post Mike. And me and Spike had conversation like while I was in Baltimore for another effort I was trying to do. And man, when I saw him, I was like, this bass is weird. Why does it sound like this is odd? So I hit him up. I was like, I was on a flight and he FaceTimed me. I was like, that's weird. You don't know me. That's crazy. I'm in the airport right now. I answer. He was like, yeah, man, da-da-da-da. You know, he sent me some stuff. Listening to it, we started on like some R&B, like almost folk type music, and we didn't use none of that.
Damn.
We're sitting in a session, and he's just playing like wild trap beats that he's making, just random. I said, you know what? Get me in there. Passed me the mic, and man, he sent one of the beats. It's the Elam, which is the intro for Past Due. He sent that first beat for it. I said, okay. We got. I said, okay.
What we doing? What we doing? Yeah. This
And
is what
at
we on.
first, I'm pacing around the crib. Like I ain't even unpacked yet. I just got back. I'm pacing around the crib. I'm like, no, so I have to scream. Like I have to do something. And man, I said, okay, I'm gonna rearrange the drums. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna add like a little piano section, and then I'm gonna add a feature for the person that had at the time. Bad Habit by Steve Lacy was the #1 song, which was written by Fouché, who is the feature on that song. We met in a studio in New York on accident. I was just out there on a work mission for about 6 months, going to studio. She was in the next studio. I went over there. I was like, hey, I'm a producer, cool, this and that. Played some stuff. She liked it. She ended up getting on one thing, and she was like, I got a bunch of throwaways. I ended up using one of the throwaways.
Give me that,
Left that, and man, that connection, not even with her, with the producer that was there with her. That led to Lil Wayne features and da-da-da. Like, it ended up being insane stuff. So, you know, that was there, and I was like, I gotta use this. I got this little snippet. I just slapped it right on the end, and then brought the hook back, and I sent it back to Mike. He was like, he sent me one beat, and he got like a 4-part song with a big feat. He was like, what is going on? And at that moment, we realized, you're obsessive in one way. I'm obsessive in a different way. I'll bring you these chords. You're going to bring that bass. We're going to have a thing. And God, we did that with like 3-4 more songs on the album, leveled it out, and boom. It just, after that, you know, we ended up with 40 plus shows, like just a lot of movement after that. People wanted to hear it. You know what I'm saying? So that's all, that's been a beautiful thing.
That's what's up. You talked about a little bit about it earlier, but you talked about the high energy and intensity. And I wanted to go about discussing in regards to your live performances, right? You're known for high energy, right? What do you want to convey to your audience, or what do you need from them whenever you're performing? What are you looking for?
I want them to feel like how I felt when I made the song and said, this is a record. That's moment big. Where it's like, oh, this is a record. I want them to be like, the first time they hear it, and even if they've heard it before, like on streaming platform, when they hear it live, they're like, oh, this is a record. Like, this is one of those ones. And I want that to happen with everything I perform. And so if that means I have to get them involved, I have songs where I take out all drums and have people snap. I judge whether they are on beat or not. We won't start the lyrics until they are on beat.
That man said alchemist.
Listen,
right.
If we're doing the flashlights, I want the house lights off.
Yeah.
You won't even see me if you're not participating. And that's it puts them on this island like, oh, like he trusts us with like keeping this going. And at that point, they feel that they have and that's the part.
Yeah, right.
You leave something open so that they can contribute to making it whole.
Right.
And when they make it whole, now they're looking at it as something that they had to do with, something that they contributed to. And at the end of the day, the listener is always going to contribute something. But in a live performance, you have to give them something to contribute to the record.
Right.
So at the end of it, they're like, man, that was a record. I was tuned in, I was listening because I had to keep the pace. He went off track because I snapped too early. Let me lock back in. I noticed that. I don't know that. All of those things, it makes them feel like they're a part of the experience. And when you feel like you have contributed something, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna take better care of it.
Gotcha.
So it takes better care of their listening.
Right.
So with that, everybody's high energy because everybody's excited about the end product. You know what I'm saying? So
That's super dope. So I noticed we were talking earlier off air, right? So I know outside of the musical process, right? I know you also operate in other spaces. I know you said you get dabble real heavy into producing.
Yeah.
Now also in a part of the process you work on like all your artwork and all of that stuff, right? So with that said, I'm curious, how are you able to like balance all of those different roles in the creative process? Does it ever feel like, hey, I might need some input, or like I got it, it's all me.
Good question.
I got it solo. Like how's that?
Yeah, I think that to have those two options is an amazing luxury.
Okay.
What happens when you don't have a choice but to get all of it done? When you don't, whether you have an outlet or help or not, you don't have a choice but to get all of those things done.
Gotcha.
And I know for me, operating in the engineering space for my 9 to 5, that's a job. I get paid to do that. I better get it done.
Yeah. Right.
And I am site reliability. I'm an engineer. I'm a lead.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I've worked since, what is it, 2024? I guess I've worked 8 years in this space. Damn. I have climbed so early to like really get there.
Yeah.
And dude, like, I have a responsibility there. But also, I'm an artist. I have a band. You know what I'm saying? I have gigs where I need bands since I've chosen this acoustic route. They need to get paid.
Right.
I have features. I have I produce for other people. I do a lot of things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We keep the lights on at home. You know what I'm saying? I have a big family. You know what I'm saying? All of that. You help and you provide and you look at this scope of like, okay, this is what I need to do. This is when things are due. This is when you have to handle it.
Right.
And at the end of the day, those things cannot not be handled. No, you got to handle those things.
Right.
So it's
Gotta
like,
be done.
oh, how do you get there? You have a job. You perform and people pay for tickets to see you perform. Why would you not handle it
Same
like
way.
such?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So with that, it is like, okay, I am at a point in my life right now where I need to lock in and I need to get these things done, right? I got to get those things done until it's at a point where I have done the work. I have locked in for a certain period of time, and now that money or time or resources is coming in, and I don't have to go as hard
Right.
because of the groundwork that I've laid down. You know what I'm saying? But right now, it's an understanding of there's an end to the means. You understand that.
Yeah.
And you have to believe that. You got to tell yourself that every day.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So for me, it is, listen, we will take a break when we are able to take a break, and we will take that break. We take that time for ourselves,
And we gonna enjoy it.
Look, we enjoy it deeply. We go to therapy. We keep our mind right. We go to the gym. We drink water.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We stay hydrated. We stay healthy.
Right. There we go.
You know what I'm saying? Take the dog for a checkup. We do the thing. You know what I'm saying? We handle the business as a human.
Gotcha.
You must make time to do that.
Yeah.
Sleep when you can. You know what I'm saying? Handle your business as a human.
Right.
But those other things that gotta get done, they gotta get done.
Knock them out.
So we knock them out and we do what we gotta do to knock those things out. So at the end of the day, for me, my balance is you got a mountain of responsibility. Build at least a hill of taking care of yourself, because that mountain is never gonna amount to that hill. It's never gonna amount. But keep the hill big enough to at least where it can clip the mountain and it can fall down. You know what I'm saying? Like, please.
I got you.
So the balance is, like keeping that hill high enough to where it could at least slow the mountain down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I like that. Okay.
yeah.
And you talked about the responsibility of ownership when being an artist, right? Let's talk about, because we've as Zeus mentioned before, you're an alum of the show.
Yeah.
We've done the pre-roll conversation. We've done the smoke out.
Yeah.
Now we're at South by Diversity. How do these events contribute to your growth as an artist?
I say the biggest way it contributes is, and a lot of artists hate this word, but it's reassurance. Man, it is so hard to say, this thing came out of my head. I put it on a record. I recorded it. We paid to get it mixed and mastered, and then we put it out, not knowing whether people would respond to it or not. And it's extremely slow money getting 100 streams a month. It's extremely slow money getting 10,000 streams a month.
Yep.
What is a stream worth?
Right.
like very slow money.
1 cent.
But the quicker money is when 100 people will say, "Hey, I'm gonna pay $15 to go see him."
Yeah.
In the flesh. So it's always the deepest reassurance,
Right.
Because say the people that blow up on TikTok, Reels, Instagram, wherever. It's a lot of people that are like, I like that. You get an immediate response, you get gratification,
right.
but most times it does not translate into people buying the song or people buying a ticket to come and see you. They're not really fans. They liked a video on a social media platform.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And because of that, a lot of artists have become more influencers than just being artists. You know what I'm saying? So with that, it's you gotta translate. So for me, these events, it shows me like every event that you mentioned sold out without me having to promote it but one time, a story post. And just trusting like, okay, people will be there, people that will translate into fans, like actual fans.
Right.
And every time it's been sold out, it's been people that are there and they just want to hear good music. And people that just want to be like, oh, that was good.
Yeah.
When you give them music that if you hear by yourself, they would think is good.
Yeah. Right.
But you take it a step further by being, no, you're a part of this.
Right.
It converts way more, and it opens the door for people being like, oh, other people would like to see this.
Right.
So even if you end up with your peak being 20,000 monthly streams, I think my peak had to have been like 40K.
Okay.
It meant nothing. It meant nothing monetarily. Maybe $300. Like, oh, okay, we could pay a bill. Like,
bill?
okay, that's nice. But that 40,000, if you could get that 40,000 to be like, hey, it's 40,000 of y'all, I'm finna tour. 20 cities, if it's 40,000 of y'all, and they want to come out, you have just created an immense amount of bread.
Right.
By converting those people. So the live shows, it makes or breaks the artist's longevity. The fact that Lauryn Hill can tour Miseducation 25 years later is insane. And come out 5 hours late.
Bro.
She's coming out at 4 a.m.
And they know she's going to be late.
4 a.m. People on a Wednesday. On a Wednesday. They got to go to work.
Right.
This crowd is 25 plus.
Right.
They got to go to work.
Right.
Listen,
That's
man.
hilarious. That's real,
She
though.
pulls up at 3 a.m. and she does every song on that album. It translates. Those people that were upset that she didn't come out on time, they gonna stay.
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna stay. You know what I'm saying? Because it's, I gotta hear that. It's gotta so that's the biggest part. I think.
I think to your point, it comes to a point where first is I spent my money. Now I gotta stay. But it also comes to a point where she better perform.
Right.
She better go crazy.
I came here for this, and it's worth me losing this time and this sleep, and this attitude I'm gonna have at work tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So, I feel that.
I feel you on that.
Man, so I was gonna say, I know, kind of piggybacking off what Saint was talking about as far as the pre-roll and the smoke at our South by, right? So since we're on the topic, man, let's talk about your experience during your time at South by Southwest, right? Yeah. What were like some interesting things that happened to you during that time? Because I know for me, I'm not gonna lie, when you pulled up to the smoke out, and all Dickies fit.
Yeah. Dicky down to the nine.
I'm not gonna lie, that was probably the hardest fit I seen all night, bro.
Appreciate that.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, so for you, what was that experience like for you?
Man, it was so full of highs and lows and unexpected things. Like at first, when it was the selection and the announcement, and South by actually tweeting my name. Yeah. And like
official artist,
right.
Like tweeting it out, like as like it's almost like how they do like a sports draft, like I'm playing number 4.
Yeah, right.
And then they did that, and like I'm talking like Willie Nelson's drummer was like, I heard he's. I was like, you heard what? Like what are you talking about? So stuff like that. It was like, oh my God, like that's cool. We're here. Yeah. And then the app released, and then my name is on the app, and it has like information about Yeah. It's like, wow. And then the emails start coming. We found you on the app. Okay. And you included your email, and your bio was great. Shout out to ChatGPT.
Hey, shout out ChatGPT.
Your bio was great. We would like to partner with you. So that led to vendors, that led to Dickies just reaching out, being like, hey, we got a budget of X amount of dollars. Go to a store, take a video of it, and just run it up. Go crazy. Like you're sneaker shopping with Complex or something. Like, go crazy. And I was like, really?
Say less.
I was like, look.
Yeah, say less. Say less.
Send it through.
Right.
So I was like, no, we will put together something crazy.
Yeah.
So it was like, man, get you a hat, get some bags, get some jackets, like whatever you need. I'm like, throw it in the bag.
There we go.
And then, we got, what was it? Freebirds, burritos.
Okay.
They reached out and they were like, hey, we'll give you and your band this X amount of dollars at the thing so y'all can eat there all week. And it was like, that sounds great. Like, I can offer that to the band. And,
right.
You know what I'm saying? That's cool. And then when the third party for the Porsche full service show.
I remember that. Okay.
When they reached out, it was like, this is real.
Yeah, this is getting real.
No, this is beyond like, we'll send you a couple of jackets, wear those, send a post, and we'll be good.
No, it's Porsche.
We'll send you some free food that we're not even gonna have to pay for. But they were like, all right, so on the bill right now, we got Common, we had Big Boy last year, and
how about you pull up?
This year, like, you should pull up.
Excuse me?
Huh? It was like, no, we want to end it with someone from Texas. Like, we want to do it. You got Austin. You have Austin.
Right, right.
Like, no. We found you. We want. It was like, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. It was like, name your price. You said who was running the show? You said who was running the show? You said luxury cars. Okay, I'll name you a price.
Right.
And they were like, okay, bet. And I was like, it was low. I looked lying too low. What's going on? Like, I ain't never asked for that much money. It's like I should have asked for more.
Yeah.
So, man, but it also taught me the level that they choose you at is the level that they see you at. They might see your potential somewhere else, but that's the level that they see you at, and they will follow suit.
Yeah.
When I got there, things that were promised on the rider,
Not at all.
wasn't there. And their whole thing was, oh, you didn't get a table on the rider. What you gonna do? Leave? You need this. You're right. You're right. I do need this show. You're very right.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh yeah, you can't post nothing until we approve it. And it's like, okay, so, and I mean, like I said, I do my graphics, so I'm like, I'm finna copy the same one that Common got, and I'm gonna do the same thing.
Yeah.
They approved it though. It was like, okay, he's serious.
Yeah.
And when I got there, I asked for things. I made sure things were together. They weren't expecting that. And on, there were things with the payment front that was like, hey, I need half here, half there. And it was like, he's never seen this much money. Let's give him this crumb and then we'll net 60 the rest.
Oh, no.
Damn, that's 60.
Net 60 and the rest, it taught me something though.
Yeah.
And so like coming down to the South by show now, it was handled much different. Like, hey, okay, before you even make the flyer, talk to me.
Yeah, right.
Talk to me, what we doing?
Right.
That, okay, cool. Write it out. Put it, this needs to be your contract that you have written with your lawyers. I'm not doing it with my lawyers. We're gonna approve it. We're gonna sign off on it. But at the end of the day, you spent money on this legally binding contract. You're not gonna lose money on breaking it yourself.
Exactly.
So with that, it was like, okay, this is how we do invoices from now. Because before I even stepped in the building, before I even talked to a sound guy, I was squared away.
Right.
It was like, okay.
Different pep in yourself. Hey guys, how we doing?
Hey,
Yeah, you all right?
I'll go change now. I'll change and say, hey, gotcha.
I know it.
Because I showed up in the Nike Tech.
Yeah, right.
Where's the, and they was like, okay, I came right back. Nice fit, some tour merch, whatever.
Right.
Boom, we're going to put on, I had a different sound in my voice.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I was ready to perform. You know what I'm saying?
Real.
So I learned that I think that was my biggest takeaway. For sure. But man, it was a lot of highs. The lows were, being treated like your level.
Right.
But when you perform and hold them to a standard of the level that you want to be at, they got no choice. Because then it turns, what are you going to do? Drop me?
Right.
You call me. And I turned this up 5 minutes before, 5 days before we got to do the show. What you going to do? Outsource? No.
Not happening.
Not happening. So go ahead and run that. Right. So yeah, but yeah, those were the biggest things from there.
That's what's up.
For sure.
So you talked about earlier work-life balance, attempting to balance that.
Yeah.
And we talked about your current career that you're under, and also your music career, and just the obligation that you believe that you have to have, which is, I believe you're 100% right in that regard. Yeah. When demanding these, when focus on these two demanding career fields, right? What are the skills from one career benefit, and how can they benefit the other?
Right.
When you're translating that to your music, your artistry, how does that happen?
Brother, I create.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, my calling is to create. If I'm not able to create, I can't be in that space for long. So with software engineering, we're writing code. We're creating things. I've worked in robotics. I've worked in education. I've worked in app development. I've worked in cybersecurity, offensive, defensive, just all these things.
Right.
And when I was not able to create and bring my own mind to the project, I had to go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, having pockets to create, it's all the same. I'm a producer, just like a software engineer. I look at grids and patterns all day. You know what I'm saying? If me putting a code together to make something happen is the same as me putting a kick and a snare together to make a song happen. At the end of the day, you have your vision, you got to stick with it, and me being able to have the privilege to really bring that into fruition in so many different spaces is a blessing. Because I just feel like when I'm not creating for a period of time, I don't feel like I'm doing my job. I don't feel like I'm providing the service that I was gifted with. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's all creation at the end of the day.
That's right.
Gotcha. So I'm curious, right? So let's take a step back a little bit. So I know you attended. I know we said it earlier. You attended 2 HBCUs. You went to Southern, went to Morgan State.
Yeah.
Right. So we also got an HBCU alum.
Yeah.
Sitting next to me as well. I went to PWI, so I don't got that experience.
It's all good.
What schools?
Hey, Houston Tillotson, HT.
Got you. Okay, nice.
Yeah. 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
Okay, he was at UT?
Yeah.
No, I went to Angelo State. It's a D2 school.
I'm already knowing.
Yeah. I
That
literally
homeboy I was talking about, all
football.
his people hoop there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But so I was gonna say, right. So with that HBCU experience, what was that like for you, and what kind of impact did that have, like, on your creative mindset?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
So there's
Because you went to Southern, so
Yeah.
that's probably band central if we're talking.
Oh yeah.
We got
For sure.
Southern to Morgan State, so that's two different.
Right.
That's like two
It's
different worlds.
so different.
So
we're talking about like very rich Southern culture
Yes.
with the band.
Yes.
We're going to the games. We're out in the yard. Everybody's hugging.
Right.
Crazy.
And then you go to Morgan. It is cutthroat. We are partying, brother. We're outside. That's. And that is, it was a beautiful thing. I mean, I think looking at it now, I think because, me being from Dallas, going to Southern with, half of my family being from Louisiana. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Various parts, a lot in Shreveport, a lot live just all over little towns and swamp and whatnot. Going down there, meeting people from Baton Rouge, meeting my whole, that freshman year, I went to orientation and they put you in a room in orientation with 6 people.
Yep.
For whatever reason, my roommate there was still my roommate when we started school.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
2 of them actually that was in that suite.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that everybody that was there, we were locked in.
Yeah.
We locked in to this day.
Yeah.
And that was years ago. It's like, okay, that I think at Southern it was the camaraderie, and then also seeing how it's harder to join a band than a fraternity.
Oh yeah, that process is crazy.
It is harder to join a band than a fraternity. And you could be amazing at the instrument you play. No one cares.
Not at all.
Everybody here is amazing at the instrument they play. Don't tell me that you're good at playing the trombone. I don't want to hear that. Are you dedicated to this one band, one sound that we got going on?
Right.
So seeing that was like, okay.
That finger snap.
It's like, man, the way that these people care about the music and take care of it is like, okay, maybe I need to look at this different. These ain't just beats.
Right.
I need to look at every chord like it means something, because if they mess up on one note of a chord, you're cut, you're out. Your whole scholarship down the drain. You need to choose a different profession now. Your whole world is shattered because you did a A note when you were supposed to do a B note. Wow. And that let me know, I need to take care of this. I started doing every challenge. I was flipping the Powder Puff Girls theme song in that dorm, just trying to push myself, going hard.
Okay.
It was like, man, I need to go harder. I need to figure out more things. You know what I'm saying? And then at Morgan, I figured out writing.
Okay.
Only reason I figured out writing is because again, being from Dallas and moving up to the DMV, people are different. Friendships are different. The standard that people hold you to are different. People saying hello in the street is different. The cops are different. The women are different. The everything. Your teachers, how they talk to you is different. Everything is different. So I had to just reconfigure myself with no outlet. I didn't know anyone.
Right.
And my only outlet was writing, but it's like, how do I put this on to the page? And it became one of those things like, hey, in order to get this out, you kind of got to figure out how to write very well to where people like get what you're trying to get across. It's some heavy, it's big feelings. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot going on. It's wild things going on. How do you not make it offensive to people that this has happened to? Rather than things that like people have experienced, but you know what I'm saying? People on the back end of it, give it some light, give a different perspective. And that was just in the dungeon, putting in that 10,000 hours, and I had the space to do that there. So yeah,
You wear a lot of hats. How do you stay motivated? How do you? What's the secret sauce?
The secret sauce is staying motivated. It is so much of believing in what you got going, and believing that you can do better than what you're doing.
Yeah,
it's all, and I think that a part of like my leeway for that is I've been working for years on how to accept compliments and accept like, oh my God, like you're just doing it, like you, and being like, you're right, I'm doing that. Like I have always had a hard time doing that because my vision has always been much more than where I'm at.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But you never see a means to an end, or you never see fulfillment in it if you don't take that time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But that's something I'm still working on. But the bright side of that is it's always like, man, we did this and that was cool, but they don't even know that we about to do this. Right. And then when you do that, it was like, well, we did it. It was all right, but we about to do this.
Right.
And it's like, that's always my mental.
Right.
I'm always, and it's also, I'm extremely competitive. In every right. I feel like if I've tried to do something and I feel like somebody has done it better than me, not for long.
I love it.
No. You did it better than me this time.
Yeah.
But and I don't. It doesn't matter how much practice they've had, if that's their thing. I mean, it's photographers that I've had that edit pictures. I'm like, don't worry about it, little bro. I'm gonna do it this time.
Gotcha.
Little bro,
little bro, for sure. Let them know.
Don't worry.
I'm like, and then I do, and they're like, man, that's crazy. And it's like,
I know.
I did it so you could say that.
Right.
And sometimes that sucks because it's like, this is so unnecessary, bro. You don't even need to do that. And recently, Dallas had like a whole rap like beef thing, like who's the best.
That was kind of crazy, bro.
San Antonio was on the same thing. That was like, man, we this, we that. I had one of my close homies that was my manager at one point. He was like, stop. You are working on things that they can't talk, like, you know what I'm saying? They can't go outside and say, yeah, I'm doing this. And then like at the same time, they was coming out with lists. These are the best backpack rappers in Dallas. And like, they put me at number 9. And I wasn't worried about anybody. I was worried about them 8 people above. I was like, I was looking like, and brother was looking at me like, what is even a backpack rap? What does that mean?
Right.
I was like, you right, I don't know. I don't know. I might be number, I don't know.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, focus on what you got going.
Right.
And it's always great to have those people that keep you at bay, but it's just a natural thing for me to be like, you said you did what?
He said, cool.
Bet. Bet. Say less. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, that's a big part.
Okay. So man, let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk about the future. Gotcha. Right. So I know you got projects dropping. You got a bunch of live performances you've been knocking out.
Yeah.
You got sponsorships you've been participating in.
Yeah.
Right. So with all of that said though, you're doing amazing. But what does the future look like for Pierce? Like hypothetically, what does 5 years look like from now? What does 10 years look like for you? Like, what are you thinking your career, what path do you think your career is going to take at that point musically?
Man, I think that in 5 years, we will have been and I say we because it's never just me.
Okay.
I might have the vision, I might have this and that, but you gotta have people around you to take it further. You know what I'm saying? And I gotta credit everybody that's been there along the way. You know what I'm saying? So I'd say in 5 years we will have at least 2 North American tours under our belt.
Okay.
We got one coming this year. Okay. You know what I'm saying? And that's just all off the muscle. That's not like, oh, Live Nation called me and said, hey, we need to lock in. Like, no. It was, you got an opportunity with these pockets. Yeah. If you put this 1,000-piece puzzle together, it'll happen. It was like, we had 500 of the puzzle like already done. Yeah. Like we was plotting on this. If we just got to find another 500 bit. And that's the work ethic. You know what I'm saying? So put in that. But I am a firm believer in you work hard in your purpose. You know what I'm saying? In something that is talking to people. People feel that they are being healed by it. People are finding a new perspective. People are enjoying it. And that range of people is not just people that look like you or people that are in your same. It's a wide variety. If your reach is bigger, then you affect way more people. And if you're touring, even if it's a 200-person crowd in New York, it's in New York. It's in Philly. It's in wherever, right? It's wherever. And these people have never heard of you, but they feel you. You know what I'm saying? So the more opportunities I get to do that, I think it comes with more change. And what I'm realizing is you don't have to move to California. You don't have to move to LA. You don't have to move to New York in order to touch people, because those people that are there, they're either fully immersed in their own culture or they are overstimulated by everybody else's culture.
Right. Gotcha.
And when you're in your space, controlling and talking to and growing your own culture, and people from other places are gravitating towards that, it's like, okay, we got something here. We don't have to leave. And when we do leave, it's gonna be like, oh, he came here. Like, man, I've been, I might come to Dallas. You know what I'm saying? Like the show that we had yesterday, people from Dallas, people from Oklahoma, like people came from outside of Austin, and I wasn't expecting that. And it was the same thing when we did South by. I was not expecting so much love from this city. And they were there, and they were present, and they knew the words, and they were anticipating certain things, and it was like, okay, we're gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? So with that, the future looks like that. All of that is like exponential growth.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why I say North American tours. I think 10 years, we got world tour. I'm really, really thinking, because I don't ever need a platinum plaque in my life. I don't care, because you can make an amazing living off of having a niche crowd that just really, really, really hangs on your every word. Gotcha. If you got 100 people that will pay for your $10 album, you're good. You know what I'm saying? 100 people, let alone 1,000, let alone 50,000. And compared to the people that are even in the Metroplex where you live, that's not a lot of people. If you can take over, say this was Houston. Everybody in Houston know you, bro. You might go platinum right now.
Right.
In Houston by yourself, you'll be a plat. Like it's over. And that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be Drake. Nobody gets to be Drake. Drake is someone that comes around every I don't know how long. You know what I'm saying? Who knows when there will be another like just accepted person like that. You know what I'm saying? Accepted everywhere.
Nations and stuff like that.
if you can cater to what is like relatively a small crowd, which is, 100,000 people.
Yeah.
Relatively in your space, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
You're gonna feed your family.
Yeah.
You're gonna
for
get
sure.
you're gonna get out wherever you
you're
are.
gonna eat.
And that's what we're cultivating now.
Yeah.
But if 100,000 people in your city love you, 1 million people in other cities do.
Yeah. You've been hinting at it during this whole topic right here, engagement and like your building your community, right?
Yeah.
I guess my question to you is what or how can your community support you, and what can they expect from you coming up?
Man, I think, and I was just talking to somebody about this, when I post shows on stories on Instagram or like do an actual post, people don't even realize that I'm playing at the show anymore. They are like, they'll like it and be like, oh, he's doing a show. They won't even realize like, oh, it's like tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And with that, I think that it's a good thing because it's like, yeah, this guy always has a show. I'm not worried about missing it. I'm gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? It's
I'ma
cool.
catch one,
And
yeah.
they always do.
Yeah.
People always catch a show. It's always like, oh, there's a random 12 people that came to this show. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's great.
Yeah.
But it speaks volumes to where like people that have seen you understand what you do. It's almost like, and they're blown away by it. It's almost like when I saw the Mr. Morale tour, I saw Kendrick, he did amazing.
Right.
Am I gonna watch that every weekend for the next year? No, I already know what he's gonna do. What are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? So what I've learned is, okay, now the media has to be better. The media has to be better in the ask of people that have already been to the show and believe in the movement. The ask has to be not so much on their part. It should not be gut-wrenching for them to be like, I'm gonna repost this. This makes sense. Even if they're a creator, this makes sense aesthetically on my page, whatever.
Right.
The media has to be so good, like, you look at it like, oh, this guy's on tour and he's stopping in Dallas tonight. Right. Cool, like, let's do it.
Yeah.
That's how people looked at the show yesterday. Like, oh, he's just stopping by South by Southwest on his path. Yeah. A lot of people at the show asked, like, okay, yeah, what's the next stop? I'm like, I'm from Dallas. You know, I'm going home. Yeah, I'm going home. And I'm gonna do a cool show out there. You know what I'm saying? They were like, home? What? Like, what? When we looked at this and when we saw you, when we talked to you, it was like, you're already there. And I think that's the biggest part. I believe that I could already be there, that I maybe even should already be there. Right. You got to get other people to believe that too. You know what I'm saying? So the ask has been, at least for my community, to trust when they feel that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Never overthinking, oh, I'm supporting a local artist, is corny. No. No.
Not at all.
You know this goes beyond local stuff. You've seen that all the time.
Yeah.
Tell them about it.
Yeah.
Don't be bad. Tell them about it, because I'm not being bashful. I think it speaks louder if, other people speak on it.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what I have been seeing as of recent. I have calmed down with social media use. I don't post as much at all. I used to post every show. Boom, boom, boom. We got a show. We got this and that. We're doing a little video. None of that. And there's still, I have had 20 sold out shows this year.
Oh, wow.
I have promoted 2 of them.
The mystique might be.
People don't do that no more.
Yeah.
They don't.
For sure.
It was the guy that was running the South by Southwest event. I went in like, you know what I'm saying? I went in a Nike Tech early and was like saying, hey, put that da. And then I left, changed, I came back. He was like, I didn't even know. I didn't know that was you. I was like, who is that guy? It was a mixer. So he was like, man, I'm going to go talk to him.
Yeah.
And then when they told me it was you, I was like, And then when you went and performed, like your voice changed and you were talking to people in a different way. And it was just so smooth. I was like,
Yeah.
That's the point.
Right.
I want you to be like,
Yeah.
who is it? This guy is a different guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure he is. And he's the one that performs. He's the one that gets the people to feel something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it don't always have to be inspiration.
Yeah.
It's just got to be like, man, I felt that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I got in an argument with a middle-aged white man about church just off of one song that I made.
Okay.
It's just like, okay. Like, but he felt that deeply to be like,
I got to
to
talk
argue,
to you
but
about
like,
yeah.
Right.
I got to talk to you
Right.
about that.
I was walking out with my back. He was like, very critical of the church, aren't we? I was like, you didn't hear me, so let me explain.
Yeah.
And then he came to 3 more shows after that, just because he was like, oh,
Okay.
I need to know
this
more.
guy that looks nothing like me and probably has 0 background like I do. I got mad because he said something that I didn't understand, and now that I understand it, I understand his artistry more.
Right,
and I'm
right.
interested. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So it's stuff like that. So I guess my ask is keep being interested, keep believing, keep speaking. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Gotcha.
real. You talked about the artistry bag and just because I'm thinking about when performance, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned that you watch Kendrick's show and you like after a year I'm probably not gonna watch it, right?
Yeah.
And it's very different when you are as an artist performing versus like a comedian who can switch up the flow, cadence, maybe even switch up the entire joke layout, right? Do you feel like also as yourself as an artist to get better, you're gonna have to probably do that in different cities or states, change up the entire diaspora of your performance?
Yeah, I've never had the same performance in 2 places ever.
Wow.
Whether I'm changing music, whether I'm changing the set list,
Yeah.
whether I'm changing like how I rap things, if I'm merging things together, if I'm doing a cover, never do the same sets. I think my last at least 20 shows, no rehearsal, no idea what the set is gonna be. Walk in, talk to people. Who is gonna be able to accept me doing a cover of Suede by Anderson .Paak? And yeah, like who's gonna be able to accept that? Do I have to be calmer? How many kids are in here? How old are these children?
Gotcha.
Do they have headphones on? Can they hear me?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What is the crowd? Is it a crowd of, am I going to be able to rap over Southside Gorillas? Or am I going to have to rap over a Paramore or something? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I look at it and we make that decision last minute, and I just think I'm blessed to have a band that's talented enough to be like, we don't know what we're doing. We don't know what we're performing.
But we gonna vibe.
Right.
But we trust him to be like, hey, we're gonna do this. And I'm never gonna be like, okay, now play Southside the Realest acoustic. Southside, like I'm never gonna do that. I'm always gonna be like, okay, let me come up with a rendition over something that's familiar. You know, I think the coolest thing that we did was people like Heart Don't Stand a Chance by Anderson .Paak. It's, you know, people like it. It's lighthearted. It's not as crazy as some of some of his lyrics. And people are familiar with the tune. But he did a Tiny Desk. They did a completely different rendition. And I found those chords.
Oh, okay.
Did it that way, so it's like, oh, they're not familiar, but they're familiar, but they're not. But like, what is it? Let me listen to this. And it always works because they're like, and we got rapper Pierce Washington. I'm singing for 5 minutes.
He said, "I'm gonna break that."
I'm singing.
It's like, I'm rapping. Not
And
right
then
now.
after this, we're gonna sing "Sweet Life" by Frank Ocean. Like, they're like, "What is this?" It's like a bossa nova. We're doing it.
Yeah.
And I switch it up based on what is expected or what is not expected. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, what I've learned is you're gonna get the best reception by learning your crowd. And sometimes you know your crowd. You know, if you're following up behind 4 acoustic pop bands, you know what they're looking for. You need to do some Justin Bieber covers.
Yeah.
Do that. If you're following up Wu-Tang, you need to rap hard.
Right.
You need to scream. Come on, we're doing it.
Right.
But, you know, if you don't know, go talk to him. As someone that's not even an artist, as a fan of music, Go connect with them on music. What do they like? What do they not? Okay, this crowd is different. Let's do this. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's how that comes about.
Gotcha.
That's real.
Okay.
Well, speaking of, go ahead. My bad.
Well, no, I was gonna say, so before we wrap up, right?
Okay.
Let's go ahead and hit you with our final question of the night, right? And so we talked about this off air already,
Yeah.
right? So you got a chance to, chop it up, had good conversation, good vibes, et cetera. Now, with that said, who do you think will be a good guest in the future for the podcast? But before you answer, it has to be somebody in your phone, in your contacts. You can be like, hey, man, I pulled up on the travel lunch break.
Yeah.
I had a ball.
Absolutely.
You need to pull up on them.
Yep.
Who would that person or people be?
Got you. I got 2 people.
Okay.
Right. First, y'all saw him at the Smokeout, Scutino.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to
Shout out to Scutino, man. His mind for mixing harmony and like real R&B with cutthroat rap.
Right.
Over these smooth beats that you know. It's insane. That guy is he's a mad scientist. Okay, so it would be great for him to come on here and share some of his story, because it's a great story, man. Like, just his mind to create it's a beautiful thing. Gotcha. And then also Nojo Wallace.
Okay.
Nojo is he's featured on the album. He is at a young age, he is an insane lyricist. His mind for matching things that should not go together but they make sense is scary.
Gotcha.
Okay, and these are probably some of the only 2 rappers in the city that I have been in sessions with and been like, so how'd you come up with that?
Right.
What was that about? You know what I'm saying? And it comes from a different place. I think that's really beautiful. So those 2, man, their ear for music, ear for production, ear for creation in general is just sharp. It's on point. It's something that I identify with, and 2 guys that I am proud to continue to work with, be on songs with. You know what I'm saying? So
that's what's up. Give everybody your social media so they know where to find you, bro.
of course, I am on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, maybe. At Pierce Washington, but in the Washington there's no O. But at Pierce Washington. Hit me on anything. Follow me for announcements, shows near you. Some good videos and whatnot, some content, whatever.
Gotcha. Man, tap in, man.
For sure.
I was gonna say, man, that wraps up this edition of the 2 Hour Lunch Break podcast. Man, once again, shout out to the homie Pierce Washington for taking time out to chop it up with us.
For sure, man.
Shout out our production behind the boards. You can't see him, but he's back there.
hard.
You can find him at Cafe Yodo. Shout out to our home studio, Dawa Studios in East Austin, Texas. Episodes of the 2 Hour Lunch Break are streaming on all platforms. You can find us on Instagram at 2HLBpod and on X at the 2 Hour Lunch. Thank you for tuning in. We out. Peace.
And it's coming home to Texas. It's coming home all the way to Austin, Texas, baby.